Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. I'm Anya with Restream Product Marketing, and today with me is Matt from Product. How are you?
Hey, Anya. How's it going? Good to be here.
Good. Good. We are super excited. I'm super jazzed up about what we are going to talk about today because it is about data, analytics, how to make your streams better, how to grow your audience, and all of that with a little bit of help of artificial intelligence. So AI and Restream Analytics is the topic. But first, quick introductions for those who are relatively new to our channels. This is Restream. We are a live video platform that allows you to stream your videos on all social channels at the same time. We are today live at more than 17 channels, actually looking like more like 20, maybe. We have YouTube, Facebook's, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, and Instagram audiences checking in today. And this is also a very interactive stream, so ask your questions in the chat. We will let you participate in this conversation as much as possible. I'm Anya, I lead product marketing, and Matt is the lead product manager on this specific Restream Analytics and Ask AI project. And he's based in Prague, and I'm based in Austin, Texas. So here we go. Quick housekeeping. If you are not yet somehow, for any reason, subscribed to our YouTube channel, please fix that. Give us a little subscribe, like, or comment. It really helps us. We are proactively growing our subscribers on YouTube. We actually recently passed 80. We started with about 70, and there was like a big celebration in internal Slack. We're going for 100 as soon as possible. So give us that subscribe and like if you can. Well, Alex, our CEO, said right? 1 million. He is expecting 1 million by the end of this year, but at least 100,000. Yes, 100,000 is where we are geared towards as soon as we can, and we are at 80,000 today. So every little vote counts. So give us a little like. If you're watching somewhere else, please subscribe or follow us as well. If it's LinkedIn or X or Instagram or TikTok, there's always a chance to follow, and you get this awesome content and all the updates from us live, just with a little notification delivered directly to you. Let's look at our chat. We are going to welcome some folks who are already checking in today, saying hello. Hello, I'm Noreen Snyder. Nice to see you. Hi, great to be here with you. Thanks for spending your morning if you are in the North American area, or evening if you are in Europe with us today. We're super excited to show you what you can do with Restream Analytics and our new AI power tools in them. Grant is checking in from Portland, Oregon. There's hello from Lisbon. That's from Mario. And watching the vertical feed on my mobile here in San Francisco. Great stuff. Awesome. So a quick little introduction of the topic. We kind of like cryptically talked about AI and analytics. So what is going to happen today is we are going to live demo for you a quick refresher on what Restream Analytics are. So what kind of statistics and data and information you get after you're done with your stream in our renewed Restream stream reports, I guess, and the newly introduced Ask AI feature that allows you to ask questions to your data in plain English and receive insights that you can then turn into actions. There will be tons and tons of examples, but some things that you can ask AI in Restream Analytics are things like, how can I improve my engagement? Did I miss any questions? And what are the questions that I missed? What can I do to, what was the sentiment in the chat? Which platforms performed better in terms of views? What topics were super hot and might be worthy for us to explore and make a whole stream dedicated to it next time? So those kind of questions, as well as many, many others. The stream will be first built around some demonstrations. So we will show you how it works. We'll show you a few tutorials and guides, and Matt will tell you a little bit of history behind the scenes, how his team was working on building this feature and what were some interesting challenges that they had to undergo in order to bring this to you. And then there will be a whole section where we'll actually take our own streams, like 2 past streams that we did. One was Fireside Chat with Alex, our CEO, and another one was about live clipping. And we will actually live real time challenge that AI that you built to see what we are going to get from this. And shortly after that, we would love to invite you guys to share your prompts. So basically your questions to our AI, so we could take them from chat, paste it right in our Ask AI chat section, and see what kind of questions and what kind of answers we get from there. So it's going to be super interactive. Of course, before we get to that place where we take your prompts for our streams in our Ask AI, you are welcome to ask any other questions related to this feature or Restream in general. We're here to make sure that we cover everything you want to know. This is a live Q&A. This is an interactive stream. It's not a lecture. So make sure to let us know what kind of questions you have. And our co-producer, Charles, today will be pinning them. So feel free to drop them in already. Even if it's a cool prompt, you can already drop it in. If you have something in mind, like what would you ask your analytics, we will be starting them and we'll be coming back to them as we go. So real quick, a refresher of what Restream analytics are. When you go to your Restream dashboard, I have a bunch of workspaces here, but most people would just have one. You navigate to your analytics, and that's where you get the bird's eye view with a little bit of everything, right? Like you have like the core metrics, such as how many views you got in a certain period of time. I'm looking at 30 days right now. You can change it to 7, 14, or 90. This is kind of like your stream schedule. You see, we have been very consistent, going live every Wednesday for you at the same time. Some of you might have it a little bit more scattered if your schedule is not so strict. Hopefully, most of you will have more streams here, but that's kind of the overview that you get and how many channels you typically go to with chat messages overview, and then the stream breakdown where you have a list of your last live shows, right? Or last live events. If you go inside of one of them, such as our latest fireside chat with our CEO, you can review the whole recording, right? Like it's going to be right here for you. Of course, the core analytics, stats, and data. But the magic is right here in this Ask AI section when you already have some prompts that are basically giving you some ideas of what you can ask, such as summarize the stream. Show me the questions that I missed. What can I improve? And what was the sentiment or the vibe in the chat? And of course, you can ask your own. All of this we will show in great detail for you. And there are cool animations like this, which we'll also show you in great detail. But this is our Restream Analytics, and this is where you find the core feature that we are going to talk about today. All right. And without further ado, the topic is Ask AI. And let's see what Charles has to say about how to use it.
Here's how to make every stream more successful than the last with your own personal data scientist. Ask AI in your stream report analyzes a previous stream and delivers key insights in plain language, backed by your own data. No charts to decode, no experience required. Head to the analytics dashboard from any stream and get AI-powered insights. Oh, look at that, that's cool. Not sure where to start? Ready-made prompts give you a great overview of exactly how things went. The system will pull together all the data like the transcript, chat history and timings, and give you a full breakdown of what you need to know, including action items for your next stream. Go deeper with follow-up questions, really dig in, and have it give you simple bullet points and pointers. You can ask it basically anything you want about any aspect of your stream and get all that complex data in a language anyone can understand. Go live with greater confidence knowing exactly how to level up. Ask AI in Restream Analytics. Your stream reports are talking back.
Nice. The stream reports are actually talking back and they get sassy. I've asked it some questions that I would be like, hey, what about this? And it would be like, all right. I like this question about how many ums and ahs and like all this kind of filler words I use because it's so easy to forget and it's really difficult to quantify later, right? Like you have to watch the whole recording or you have to be an editor that deals with this all the time. But I think it's a really interesting example of question that you can ask AI. And what are some of your favorite questions to ask AI?
Yeah. It's so funny. I think like, when we started, you could literally ask it anything. But then we had to introduce some guardrails because, we're not building a new ChatGPT here or another messenger that you can just talk to. We really need to make it very focused on the stream data. So I think like the task here was to, not just like the vision was like, what if you could talk to a stream, but under the hood, that was always like, how could you make sense of your stream? Like, was it good? What is good? Can you learn anything from that for next time? And there are like different data points that we could use for that. So on the analytics page that you just showed us, Anya, we basically like have a combination of a bunch of different things, right? Let's get to that maybe, like we switch to this scene, right? So this image kind of summarizes a different data points that are available to you after you finish your stream. You know, in Restream, every stream is recorded, so you get a stream recording, and from that you can get a transcript. So suddenly, like the video is no longer a piece of content, but it's really an array of data. Then another data point is the chat, like your audience. You know, so the transcript is what are you saying? The chat is what are other people saying, like, what do they think? Just as right now, like people might be commenting what they think about what we're doing here right now. And later on, we could ask about that, you know, what was the sentiment and so on. So the audience responses are another very interesting data point that can be both qualitative and quantitative, like, you know, how many messages were there, but what was really in them is what matters. And then the chart in the top right corner kind of shows the various data points that you can collect from your live streams, which is views, concurrent viewers, messages, and amount of chatters. And we also have them broken down by individual channels. Now the devil is in the details, because, you know, if you always had a stream about, I don't know, gaming for 1 hour, that is somewhat similar every single time, it's just two people talking, that would be fairly easy to analyze. But, you know, we have, you know, thousands of people streaming various types of content of various length and different amount of participants. And the data points can be very tricky, because they can be actually missing. What if you go live and, you know, things are not going so swimmingly, and suddenly, like, you don't have that many views? Or what if the chat is silent this time? You know, last time it might have been amazing, and this time you just like get 1 or 2 comments. There's not much to analyze. Or if your recording expires, we might no longer have this sort of data point to analyze either. So when we were building the AI part of analytics, we quickly realized that we might need a model under the hood that would allow us to handle not just the happy path, but especially the sort of edge cases. I think if you look at the page, you know, there's lots of data already, but not everything needs to be a chart. Like, different people will have different kinds of questions about their stream, and that's why we built this very flexible feature, which is Ask AI. So when we started, we just, you know, picked GPT Mini, which was a model from OpenAI, fairly affordable, fairly fast. But as I mentioned, the devil is in the details. For example, if you asked about unanswered questions and you gave it a stream that had no questions, it started like hallucinating and coming up with something.
So it would like invent questions that never have never been asked.
Never have been asked, exactly. And so,
because it doesn't want you to feel bad that you had no chats.
Yeah, I think
it's
like
very kind of it.
All of these models are kind of black boxy, right? We don't really know what is happening underneath. But at least to me personally, whenever I interact with AI, most of them are kind of tweaked in a way that they're trying to please you, and that, you know, not very like brutally honest. You can ask them to be brutally honest, and then they will tear you apart. But like even then, like, it's still pretty diplomatic. And in this case, you need to be exact, because you know, if you had 3 messages, that's it. Like, there were no other messages, and you need to like basically improve. So next time you would get more. So after the first very early version of this feature, we've built a completely like we went pretty far and basically like ask ourselves, what if we could build like a harness to have a bunch of models together? And before I get to that, I just like want to show you a few anecdotes, like what can happen if you don't, pick the model carefully, and if you don't start like tweaking system prompts and like prompt presets and like do some evals to kind of understand whether the responses are good enough. What can really happen? So, for example, in the very beginning, you could ask it anything. So we ask it like how to cook eggs, and it would give you a very, very detailed recipe. Just go ahead and do it, right?
Nice.
Obviously, like the first system prompt, which is the thing that sort of guards the model to kind of obey what feature you're currently building. We just focused on safety, but we didn't really give it any personality yet. So it was open to kind of answer any type of questions at first, but very soon, we needed to like tell it like, hey, you're like only supposed to answer things about the stream report. But it's good we did that because there are some companies who didn't probably do that internally, such as, for example, McDonald's. Loving McDonald's, but I found this the other day on X, and it was super funny. So basically, like, if you don't have these guardrails, like, you can ask it anything, and like, for example, about Python. And while you're like ordering, burgers or McNuggets, you can also like study engineering. And you don't really need to pay subscription to ChatGPT because the whole support messenger just handles it for you.
I'm actually curious. I don't know the answer. Maybe somebody from our support knows. If that's something that we could do with Intercom, because I know we have our own chat message system right at Restream where people can ask questions related to Restream, and some of those answers will be automated if it's like super generic questions, such as how many channels can you go live on if you're on a standard plan, right? Like, you don't necessarily need a human. It's basically an assistant to search our help center and our internal materials to just give you quick information, because a lot of people prefer this kind of conversational research versus actually reading and like searching for documents. And a lot of times it will give you links, of course. It can refer to certain guides, but like generic questions a lot of times are answered by AI. And I'm curious what are the guardrails there, basically? And can I actually give it some like very sophisticated questions to get some really serious prompts like this one? So if you're using Intercom, I'm not saying like everybody jump in there, but yeah, I might think about asking Intercom something like this. That's just awesome. I love it.
Think, you need to be ready for that, because people will try to break the system as much as they can, and asking various types of questions, role playing and stuff like that. That's already in the realm of like prompt injection. So when people are trying to bypass the system, and nowadays we see it everywhere, that the attackers are really trying to kind of lure AI users into doing various things, so to speak. And one of the ways to bypass the system is really like to pretend or like let it role play something. So you need to be ready for that. So you can never fully cover everything, but we've tried to be ready for that. I think like this layer of security needs to be taken very, very seriously, because obviously like we need to ensure that it is just doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's just about stream analytics, and it's not gonna like tell you about chicken wings, or like it's not gonna tell you about eggs, but also some other things that it's not supposed to do. So that was a really interesting part in the very beginning. And I think like maybe we could ask the audience about some of their fun questions that they might have.
Yeah, we absolutely. So we're going to take a few questions. There are a few questions in the chat already. So we're going to take a few questions about the Ask AI analytics in general. I would love to hear your thoughts, chat, about just in general, like, I know there's a lot of like hesitance about AI and like using AI, and especially in the world of creative people, content creators. Like, this is kind of like an interesting take, how AI is not necessarily taking away your creativity, but it's helping you to learn something and to accelerate and like to improve, right? There are a few questions in the chat, but please keep asking your questions. And most importantly, the questions that you have for our analytics, the prompts, even if it's something crazy such as how to cook eggs, drop it in. We do have space for a few crazy questions that are not necessarily related to live streaming that we would love to test. We have never done this before, so this is all going to be happening real time live. So yeah, let's go ahead and challenge what we've got. Question we have from Ellie. Does this also work for generating tips for future streams, or does it mostly analyze the past broadcast analytics?
It's a good question. Thanks, Ellie. So basically it answers only questions about this particular stream, but that can be very informative about what you're supposed to do next time. So whether it sees like gaps in performance on certain platforms that it does have data from, it could tell you, for example, to like really focus on those. You can also kind of, for example, ask about unanswered questions, which is great content for like your upcoming streams. And additionally, I think you already mentioned some of that, Anya, for example, about these like filler words, or it was in Charles' video, I think. You could ask these like types of questions to improve your presentation skills and overall like the vibe.
Yeah.
I think like if you really like ask critical questions to a transcript that is a recording of how you are speaking, you can learn so much about yourself and try better next time. So it doesn't really need to have additional like market data or anything like that. If it has a transcript already, that should be enough.
Yeah, and I think it's super important that it combines both the transcript and the chat. So it's basically an analysis of a combination of the whole conversation, whatever you prepared as your material. Yeah, exactly. So whatever you had in mind as this is what I'm demoing, this is what I want to talk about, and also the input of you guys who is watching us and chatting of like, these are the angles and like the details and the nuances that we would like to cover. One of the questions, if you look at our pre-promotion video that we posted this morning that this is coming, was what is the next topic for my live stream? What should I talk to in my next live stream based on what people mentioned in the previous stream? And of course, in our case, because we knew that we'll be talking about this, AI immediately was like, well, you kind of sort of promised to talk about Ask AI, which was really funny because it was pitching itself, basically. Well, talk about me, right? And yet, it's a great opportunity to answer Ellie's question, to analyze what people are mostly engaging with, what people are mostly asking about, to then inform your next content. So that's another opportunity to use the transcripts and chats more as kind of like an action item for the future versus analysis of the past, if that makes sense. So that's a very, very cool use case right there. And by the way, quick plug. I'm seeing notifications that we are producing live clips from this show right now. We have our Mario, our product manager on Clips, in charge of that. I don't know necessarily who is working on this today specifically, but he is going to live clip us in posts. I think it's him. Yeah. Well, we agreed that he would kind of diversify and like offer some devs on the team to also play with the tool. But today we will be posting live clips as we go. So if you are watching us on YouTube, LinkedIn, or X, you will be seeing live clips of this event as it's still happening. And that's something you can do with your show as well as you are live streaming if you're using Restream clips. Good stuff. Right. So Nick is saying, thank you. I use analytics monthly for my media kit. I'm intrigued. Nick, I would love to hear. I know you're kind of a regular here. We've seen you at multiple different shows. Your chats and comments are definitely making it to our analytics and informing our AI on what to talk about next time. So let us know what kind of prompts you would like to ask your analytics as you use and how do you use them monthly. I get it like for reportings and media kits. But yeah, like do you use, what kind of questions would you like to ask your stats? What would be helpful? APX Nation says, very cool about everything we just covered in general. And a question here about, I want to know about topics for next time, what my audience wants more of. Oh yeah, so that's kind of what we were mentioning. Like, so what are the questions in the chat that would inform the next kind of topic, right? As well as like, because that's not only about streams, right? Like if you know what your audience is asking about and what kind of questions they have for you, that might also inform your other type of content, your blog, your shorts, your tutorials, your guides, your social posts, right? Like even features that you're building. Like if you're treating these questions as feature requests and feedback, then so many great things can happen from those analytics. That's actually a good one. I wonder if we ever considered to basically say, if act as a product manager, maybe we should try that prompt today. Act as a product manager of Restream. Based on this stream, what are the top priority features I should work on in the next months? And then we're gonna
I think
get
that's
us in trouble.
that's the blurry line where
Yeah.
like, should it really tell you, or should it keep it, nice and focused on the analytics topics? But
Yeah.
Sky's the limit. So feel free to ask your questions.
Yeah, awesome. Quick question from Soccer tonight. It's about Studio in general, so I'll just take it since you shared it here. Question: when using Studio from the phone, can the images uploaded be moved to the right or left? Is it it only pops up in the middle, or am I doing something wrong? So when you're using Studio on mobile and adding images, I would say there are some limitations. I don't know if you can drag and drop. Like, so basically, if you're using your laptop like I'm using right now, check this out. I can actually swap us very easily. Sorry, man. It's just moving you around like a little slider. So you have those options. And if you're sharing something like an image, like we were sharing earlier here, you have an option to also swap it, of course, and move it around. And you have multiple different layouts where you could use that image, and there's basically like think about ways how you can like position it on your screen, right? So I would say play around a little bit with those layouts, because the layouts are still going to be available on mobile. Can you drag and drop on mobile? I'm not sure. Another great way to, if the goal for you is to go live from mobile, but you can preset your scenes from your computer, you can do that. And in that case, you can position your images wherever you want. And then when it's time to go live, you simply switch through the scenes. So that would be my pro tip for you. Great question. Folks, keep asking what you want to know. And I'd like to hear a little bit of the AI journey. Of course, with this project since its inception, which was not that long ago, right? If you think about it, we started to... Well, I mean, it's still like, it's not like it took just a few months, but not like years. But so much work has been done there. So many things were tested. So many things were considered. So many decisions were made and tossed. So tell us a little bit about what was the journey, like where.
So that was as we started using it internally. We basically quickly realized, because we were constantly asking questions about our company live streams. And all of our company has access to see the analytics and ask their questions. So very quickly, we would start to feel that the current model that we were using is hallucinating a little bit. For example, like the case with chat messages that are non-existent, it basically come up with some. So the obvious question that we ask ourselves is like, what LLM, which large language model shall we use to deliver the best results? Obviously, I quickly learned that picking the right model was like 5 or 10% of the entire work, and the rest was just like building the guardrails around the prompts and basically making the system a bit more predictable as much as you can with non-deterministic models. But we basically ask ourselves really, like, there are so many models, not just from OpenAI, but also from Gemini and from Anthropic. So we built like an internal prototype, and I will play you a short video right now. So basically what you're seeing here is that, we're going to click one of these prompt presets, which is basically give me a stream summary. And we literally tested all of the models from Gemini, all of the GPTs, and all of the Sonnets, Haiku, and so on models from Anthropic. And we zeroed in on these three. So Gemini 2.5 Flash, which was supposed to be the fastest. Funnily enough, in our internal testing, it was almost always the slowest. GPT-4o, which performed fairly well, but not that different from the model for Mini that we were using before. And then, we tried to use a bigger model, Sonnet 4.6, which is much more powerful. And we basically allowed our entire company to use this feature with 3 different models at the same time. So every question they would ask, it would be kind of answered by 3 different models. And we quickly learned that Sonnet was by far the best model. So not only could people obviously get the response, but they could also rate. So we started internally collecting the rating of our colleagues, what they think is best. Because to be honest, the LLM will always give you something slightly different, regardless of how well you prompt it. It's non-deterministic. And also, it's very subjective. If you ask a question like, how can I improve? Different people have a different understanding of that question and what might be coming back. And so not only did we get a lot of signals that Sonnet is really doing the best job, but one thing that was fairly decisive was that when we did ask what could I do better next time on one of our streams, that we also streamed to TikTok, it basically started coming up with tips what to do on TikTok when it comes to performance. And both Gemini and the GPT or model from OpenAI were kind of coming up with ideas what we should be doing on TikTok, and only Sonnet could actually recognize the difference between a 0 and missing data points. Because actually some of the platforms don't give us the data, such as Instagram or TikTok. So when you go live on YouTube and Instagram, and you get 50,000 views on Instagram and 50,000 views on YouTube, we only see the YouTube ones. So for Instagram, you would always need to go and check on the end platform, for example. This is a known limitation for our analytics, but for the AI, it was something that we needed to explain a little bit better. And the Sonnet was already able to kind of get it the first time. So we picked Sonnet going forward. And actually, if you are using Ask AI nowadays, this is the model that is currently being powered by. I don't think this is one model forever, because the market keeps evolving. So we will be always trying different models. But this is the best one that is doing the best job so far.
Yeah, definitely. I remember testing it, and I was really impressed by how sharp it was, and even minor tweaks that sometimes you do a little follow up, hey, I would like it to be in bullet points. I would like it to be more concise. I would like the language to be more simple, because maybe I will use it as some social or marketing content. And it was really sharp with that, because I noticed that a lot of other models, especially the ones that we tested, did tend to over explain and give me this walls of text. And while it's good sometimes for additional context, it's also really difficult to process, right? Because if you're saying, hey, what are the questions that I didn't answer during this stream, I kind of want a bullet list of questions. I don't want all this all this philosophy around it. That's not what I'm asking. So I definitely felt that Sonnet was the most sharp, concise, on point. And yes, I did test that exact functionality of hey, how can I improve my stream? And it pointed out that other models pointed out that the platforms that are missing data need extra love, which I was well, that's not what's going on. So that's actually spot on and checks out with my own testing experiment.
Yeah, it was, for me as a PM, it was such an interesting experience to really see the reactions that internally, but also some of our customers had to it, because it's always very subjective. When you and I ask the same question to maybe about the same movie or the same video, we might have a certain nuance to what we kind of expect as an answer. And there was also this meta layer, because we are streaming about the Restream product, which people use to stream. And suddenly, since our streams are typically full of words
Feature
around
requests.
our product and
Yeah.
feature requests. It was like blending the
Yeah.
feature requests and improvements into the actual like content improvements that you might be asking about. So it became like very, very biased. Yet, like we also need to keep it open. If some people like just ask a question about Restream, like how can I clip, and something like that, they like the AI should have some knowledge of that because it is within our product. So we needed to like give it the context of our like help center and so on. So it would at least like have some answers to those types of questions. But yeah, like the Sonnet was really doing the best job, especially for me personally, that it didn't give you extra. Like when you asked about these bullet points, it gave you the bullet points and nothing else. And gave you like the filler words and the sauce in the beginning and the end.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember. I know exactly. So to give people a specific example, just so they have a little bit extra context, while we are still waiting for your prompts, guys, because we are about to really test it live, and we want your wildest ideas in there. So one of the examples, the specific examples of this meta cycle, right? Like when you ask AI something, how to improve Stream, and it just like starts taking the requests for features and basically answers how to improve Restream versus this specific stream. Was the browser source, right? Like one of the things that we discussed in detail last time when we were live with Alex. Fireside chat was covered with requests for browser source, different use cases, different reasons why people wanted. And we were, of course, encouraging that. We mentioned our CTO, Andrew, a few times saying, this guy is, in charge. He needs to prioritize it, and then we'll make it happen. And then one of the answers to my question of how can I improve this stream was, you guys should release browser source, which I was like, okay, this is not entirely how I would improve my stream. But I get where you got this, or like how we got there.
Do you know that it's going to be now part of our stream as well? Because you just said that.
I know. How can we improve our stream? Browser source. We are on it. It's in the works, definitely. And I see a few more live clips have posted right now. So if you're looking to see some examples of how live clipping works right now, you can also see a few more batches of live highlights from us still being live. Good stuff. All right. We are going to, so there's a few more on the AI journey that Matt is going to share. And then we are literally going to start prompting our AI based on our own streams. So if you have a prompt or a question or some ways to challenge that AI, it better be in the chat. So let's go. All right. We have this guy.
Ask away. So I think like the last part that I really wanted to share is we never know what you're going to ask, and show us in the chat like what really what are the types of questions that you would ask repetitively, like every single time you go live. I would be most interested in those because they are kind of like something that we could have a preset for. And a preset is not just like a fancy button that kind of saves you time on typing, like you see in this case. It's not like when you click a stream summary, under the hood, it actually sends a very sophisticated prompt that we trained like a few times on like our own streams, at least to give you some results that are not crazy different every single time. So what I mean by that is, if you ask about the vibe in the chat, for example, what was the atmosphere? What were people saying? Was it like mostly positive or mostly negative? Like if you just rely on the words like, hey, what was the vibe in the chat? And you just fed that to the AI, it would be fairly like fairly vague is the right word, I think. And if you remember in the beginning, I was talking about the different data points. So like we used the transcript, we used the chat messages, then we used the data from your live stream. If some of those are missing, the AI will basically like start, just looking at the data available. But in the preset, we actually like tell it like when it's relevant, we always point it to specific like data points. So like look at the transcript, look at the chat messages, and so on. And if some of those data points is missing, it will much more likely be like tell you that this part is missing. So like your answer will be much more tailored to what you were kind of expecting. obviously we cannot foresee everything that you will be asking about. So these are some of the things that we feel like are fairly frequent. So when you just open any stream, you might want to get a quick summary. I think this is also very useful if you work in a bigger organization and you use workspaces, and maybe you're back from vacation, there was some live streams and you want to quickly come back to it. You can just get a quick summary. You don't necessarily need to watch the whole thing. Second is unanswered questions. So obviously you can export your chat, for example, from Restream, and then do your own analysis if you like, and try to find all the questions. But I think what's really interesting is not just the questions that were asked, but only those that were not answered, or those that were answered but not so well, right? So this is really where our analytics shines, because it has both the chat and the transcript, and it can kind of cross-reference between the two. So in the preset, again, we baked in some guidance for the AI to first find questions, then cross-reference them with the transcript, then really make sure that they were unanswered, and then only give them to you. So these are some of the examples of what we're trying to bake into these presets. But of course, you don't need to use it. You can always just ask a question like you see in this image: how can I do better next time I go live? We can start with that question in our live demo, for example. But every time you use a question, the AI is also suggesting you a follow-up. So those follow-ups are also somewhat tweaked under the hood. Hopefully, this will give you the best results. Every time you get a response, you can rate how happy you were with the response, whether it was good or bad. And this gives us anonymous signals of where the model is succeeding and where it's failing. This way we can understand that maybe we need to tweak certain things on the system prompt or pick another LLM. I see we might have another question in the chat that could be relevant.
Yeah, we have a few questions. Yeah, I actually was curious. I was going to ask you my own question. How do you get that rating data? Is it something that you just get an overall chat, a chart? Okay, so most people were not happy with this kind of answers. What is the other side of it? Because I always rate, not always, whenever I have time, I rate my Claude responses, right? Whenever it gives me this option, I kind of like it. And I was always wondering what's on the other side. Does that go to you? Do you get it in a mailbox? Do you just look at the chart and watch for some strike pins of I'm so pissed?
No. We just have basic analytics around that. But for example, some of the signals that I'm interested in is a person happy with a response that was coming from a preset? Because the preset is something that we can control. If they are not so happy about an open question they had, there's little we can do about that oftentimes. It really depends on the context.